The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. Once again, this is Marcus Melnick, your host from Firearm Mentor, and we are continuing the conversation with Sergeant Spiro Maglaras, retired, of the Chicago Police Department.
We're the frontline managers on the street, right? So the POs are, let's say, the soldiers, and we were the frontline manager. We are the ones who were supposed to take what our lieutenants took from the deputies, in most cases, and implement their strategies on the street. So it was our job to make sure that what the hierarchy of our department, which most times was very diluted, and we really did not, and most of it we used to say it was a dog and pony show, right? And I'll give you an example of that because most of your listeners wouldn't know this. But we were there to make sure we implemented the strategies that our hierarchy in our department said were going to work for that weekend. And what I just said about a dog and pony show is if O'Hare, for instance, would have a bomb threat, we would get information from the FBI and said there's a possible credible bomb threat to O'Hare. So what do? They sent all of us to O'Hare in uniform, walk around, parading us around, making people think that they're safe, asking us what's going on, and us basically saying, no clue, because we didn't have a clue. We were put in situations and never fully given. So it was my job as a supervisor is to calm my people down, put them in the best position to be the safest, which is always not the case, but you try your best. You hold that on your shoulders. Take care of them throughout a shift if they're detailed to somewhere standing up for 12, 13, 14, 15 hours, making sure they're all getting their rest. The last one that eats and gets rest is the sergeant. He makes sure that all his guys get fed. Either you go out and find some bar or restaurant that's going to give you free food or you pay for it, and you make sure that your troops are happy before you even take a seat. So that's mostly what a good sergeant does. He makes sure that his guys are taken care of. If they're burned out or having problems at home, or they need a couple hours in the front or a couple hours in the end, that you recognize that and you give it to them and make sure they feel like they're being appreciated for what they're doing. Because it's easy to burn out in the police department.
Yes, it is. So you mentioned some undercover work at bars. Can you drink? Can you have a beer when you're doing undercover work?
Well, when you're in Vice, you are allowed 2 beers per establishment. So if you buy more than because now you have to blend in. You have to blend in. You got to act like you're a patron. You can't look like the police, and a lot of us would look like the police, the way we dress, the way we look, the way we hold ourselves. People always say, oh, you're a cop. You know, my friends' kids didn't even know the police. They would say, oh, your dad's a cop. Tell my kids. Because it's the way we hold ourselves a certain way. But now we have to unthink that and go into these bars and other places. It was not only bars. We would catch people selling unlicensed cigarettes. You know, they were buying them in Indiana or Missouri. So you had to really funny story, and I'll tell you in a second, but this is a really funny story. We had a guy that was selling unlicensed cigarettes in the west side of Chicago. We could not find him for the life of us, and the state really wanted this guy because they had intel that he was selling thousands and thousands of dollars. So how do I get this guy to admit to us that he had cigarettes? Well, I went outside the store. I found this lady walking this dirty old little dog. I gave her, hey, can I borrow your dog? She let me use her dog. I walked into the little convenience store and told the guy that it was a tobacco-smelling dog. And that if this dog finds your tobacco, he's not only going to get a fine, he's going to get arrested. And I had this dog walk around the whole store, sniffing around everything. And I guess I was getting close to this false wall he had built because he lost it. He pressed the button, and the whole side of the convenience store came down. The whole wall came down. And we were able to get... So there's a little trickery done in the police department. You got to use whatever you have at your disposal. The same thing not everybody could be undercover. I wasn't good at it in the beginning. It took a while. We only didn't do another quick story is during NATO. During NATO, the first 100 people that were leading on all those protesters were all undercover police.
Is that when they were? There was a march, and it might not have been NATO. Might have been another summit where these people were led basically in circles downtown.
Yes, that was NATO.
Okay.
We led them all the way to a dead end by Navy, not Navy Pier, by the McCormick Place, and they had no clue what they were doing there. We took them. They all wanted to go over the bridges into the Gold Coast. So as soon as they would start marching, all the 100 people in front would be undercover police, and they marched them all the way south side, and they had no clue that we were marching them. They got smart during the Floyd riots and didn't allow that, but at that time, that's how we were able to infiltrate all these groups and basically take over. But you have to know what you're doing. You got to practice it.
The trickery is not just in the Chicago Police Department. I will also share a story. I worked for the Glencoe Public Safety Department, which is an integrated police and fire department, and there was an interview or interrogation of someone who was, I will say, less than intelligent. So the investigating officer went to the ambulance and got the cardiac monitor, hooked up the person to the cardiac monitor, and said it was a lie detector. And the person, I don't remember what the crime was, but they admitted to the crime because they didn't want to get caught on the quote, air fingers, quotes, lie detector. So sometimes it's hilarious, the creativity that goes into how to get people to admit that they've committed, serious and non-serious crimes. So during your career, you've been in 3 gunfights. Can you tell our listeners about them, what your individual experience is, obviously leaving out details of the cases, but what you experienced in these 3 different gunfights?
Nothing prepares you to take anybody's life, regardless if they're trying to take yours or if they're trying to take somebody else's life. Psychologically, nothing ever prepares you for that. If they tell you they're okay about it, they're lying, I believe, because most people will tell you what I'm telling you. It's very difficult to take someone's life. It happens in a blink of an eye. You're literally looking at your body to make sure there's no holes in you after it's done. The mental is usually more damaging than the physical part of it. The things that happen to you psychologically, even while it's happening, is mind-boggling because it actually. I took a class once with the colonel. I forgot his name. He came to the police. Grossman, and he basically everything he said that happens during a gunfight happened to me. My ears shut off. I couldn't hear anything. I had tunnel vision. My breathing. I couldn't remember anything really. I mean, I had to kind of relax my heart rate to start, and that is all true. It happens to even the most seasoned. No one's ever what season? That could be one gunfight. I mean, I had one too many. It's not a bragging thing in the police when you get into any. It's like, God, you survived basically, and I'm just happy I'm here in one piece for my family. Like I said, physically it takes a toll. I had a good partner. I was with a good partner. We talked through a lot of that. Me and my partner would talk in the car about different scenarios and how to survive them. We knew how to move without each other and with each other. And I think a lot of it, the reason why we survived them, were because of the fact that we actually trained ourselves in the car. Because you're literally with this guy. I was on a 10-hour shift. You're with this guy 9 hours a day. Every day, 4 days a week, 3 days off, back 4 days. And I was lucky enough to have the same partner, and he was also a personal friend that was in my house all the time. We spoke about what if all the time. And it takes a certain person to be the police to begin with, especially a street cop. You can't shy away from trouble. You gotta the police runs to trouble, and usually with a smile on their faces. I couldn't tell how many times I argued with my partner because somebody was shooting and we were trying to get there and he took the wrong turn because we wanted to be the first ones there. To you as a listener, you'd be like, "Wow, you're crazy. This guy's crazy." But we took the job for a reason. That was a reason. We took the job for a reason. Most police, believe it or not, did it for the same reason.
Very good. So about 2 years ago, you retired?
I retired, yes, 2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago, and you now own Prairie House Tavern in Buffalo Grove. Is there similarities in what you've done before and owning a restaurant bar?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you how it makes it easier. I know how to manage people a bit because if you can manage a team of 10 coppers from different age groups, different ethnicities, different attitudes, you could manage pretty much anybody in the world, I believe, because a lot of coppers we do have an attitude, we do have some egos, and you got to know how to manage all of them. And I think the manage part made it easy for me, from my experience, to do manage a business. Also, very importantly, I always had a philosophy that honey worked better than vinegar. So even with people that I arrested, me and my partner always try to like get them into cuffs without fighting. So that required a lot of nice honey, a lot of talking. And the bar business is the same. I mean, you talk to people, you make them feel comfortable, you thank them for coming. They have a bad meal, you make them come back again and try it out again, because everyone has a bad meal. And there's no difference in getting a guy in cuffs, right? You get him in there, make him feel good, and the guy's giving me high fives on the way back to lockup, telling me, "Hey, I'll see you when I get out." Because that's you treat people good, even if they're criminals. You don't like them. I don't like all my customers, but you make them feel like they're liked. You treat them with respect, and my customers come back because of that. And the criminals had no problem with me locking them up, because they knew that I would tell them, "Your hustle is done with. Don't get mad at me because I caught you 1 out of 100 times that you did it, and I caught you." And they would look at me and say, "You're right."
So what did you have to learn in terms of food service, serving alcohol, and obviously you come in for a restaurant. I don't know if you have any previous food service hospitality, although policing is kind of hospitality.
Yeah, it is.
What did you have to learn to open up a restaurant?
Well, lucky because I had a partner, so he was able to help me with the financial stuff, is what I didn't know. I was no mathematician. That's why I became the police. All I knew was, for a joke, we say one head keeps a sergeant away every day. So if you made a head of an arrest in your unit, you didn't have to worry about the sergeant asking you. That's the only math I needed to know when I was on a job. Cooking, I didn't have much of a background. Even though I was Greek, my dad was in the industry, but he was never in that type of industry. He was in the restaurant industry, but he was always in the service end, not the back end, the cooking. I just recently learned how to. I mean, I cooked at home, but I just recently learned the kitchen because I had to, because my cook wanted to go out of town. I couldn't cover all his days. I learned. I knew the basics. I learned. Bartending, same thing. Learned how to bartend. Hadn't bartended since I was probably in college. And I just learned. I mean, just like anything in life, was a new challenge for me. I was ready for the new challenge. It's never too late. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's never too late to learn something else in life. And I'm happy I did. I learned it. I don't know everything, and I'll never know everything. Just like the police, I never learned everything. But I enjoy it, and it's like just a new venture for me, a new adventure for me.
I'm no expert in cooking. I cook at home also, and I watch the cooking shows. And what should a patron going to a restaurant look for in terms of food safety? Or is it just something that they're not going to see, that it's practiced in the kitchen? For example, cutting raw chicken with a knife and then cutting cooked chicken with that same knife without a wash in between. That's what I'm talking about.
That was like my partner's specialty, because he owns a big restaurant, and he always would tell me, two things have to be clean. One can be seen by the patron, one cannot be seen by the patron. The kitchen has to be clean. If it's a clean kitchen, it'll be a clean food preparation, everything. Patrons can't see that. You have to make sure that it's like that, because you want to run a clean kitchen, because your food will eventually deteriorate in quality if you have a dirty kitchen. Clean bathrooms. If you have a clean bathroom, you have a clean place.
Very good.
That's pretty much what he told me, and he's very successful, so I'm sure, and it's worked for us here, so.
So, in obviously we transitioned from police work to the restaurant. What sort of fun events do you have?
Here,
here.
We have, and especially in the summer now, we host 2 to 3 live bands every month at night. There's never any cover charge. We just have people come in. Come in, have a drink, have something to eat, and listen to some good live music. We do host groups like yourself, which and it could be any group. Doesn't have to be one thing you've learned from the business of being in a restaurant. You host everything. You can't choose sides. You make everybody comfortable, and you're open to anybody. I've had weddings here. I've had rehearsal dinners, baby showers, sweet 16 parties. We have a 4-season room that's heated in the winter and opens up in the summer. And God bless, that room does well for us. And our service is good because, it's family run. There's not many family owned businesses left in Chicago or in this Buffalo Grove area. And, my son's here when he can be. I'm here. My daughter's here when she's here from college. And my wife when she can come. And, we just give that special touch that a lot of places don't have.
I would agree. I've had some fantastic food here. Everything that I've had has been very, very good. The service has been excellent. And that 4-season room, just to describe it to people, it looks like a greenhouse. So it's very open, natural lighting, very, very comfortable. And there's an outside patio as well. Some other events that I know happen here are karaoke and trivia nights. And what would be the website for someone to go to kind of check it out? Look at the menus, see what events are coming up, that type of thing.
That would be our Prairie House, just exactly what it sounds, Prairie House Tavern. You put that in a Google search, or you put Prairie House Tavern Buffalo Grove. We're usually, because of our rating, we're 4.4 out of 5 Google rating. We usually are one of the first establishments to pull up.
Okay, very good. Do you have any specialty items or specials that you run?
Well, our special for here, which everyone tells we win, we in any competition we've joined, and we've only had one since I've been here. We've always won best cheeseburger in Buffalo Grove. So our cheeseburgers are good. When you have fresh food, you'll have good food. Everything here is made fresh. All our sauces are made here, except for the ketchup and mustard. Everything else is made here. Everything's made to order. Nothing's pre-made. Nothing's pre-cooked. So when you have that fresh kitchen, you're going to have fresh food, and it's going to taste good.
Folks, I don't have a very developed palate, but I will tell you that in addition to being very good, the portion sizes are ginormous. I ordered chicken fingers once. I think they brought me 4 whole chickens. I'm kidding. It's not exact, but it was more than I could eat. It was multiple meals. So great place to check out. Spiro, what final thoughts can you offer to our listeners about going into business, going into law enforcement, things that maybe I didn't ask you that we didn't cover?
Law enforcement right now, it's hard. I see what's happening. I read about. I try to stay out of a lot of the blogs and stuff about what's going on in Chicago and around. It's just around in general in the United States, and it's sad because, my daughter wrote an essay the other day for a scholarship, and she basically said that I chose to be in musical theater because even though it's a tough job, because my dad taught me one thing: when you love what you do, it's never work. And that's what she goes, regardless if I get paid or not, I know I'm going to love being in that business, and that's why I'm going to do it. So that's, for me, it was a labor of love. I loved my job. I loved what I did. Unfortunately, the job changed. My only advice is if you want to do it, do it. The pendulum usually swings back. And I keep saying that people are going to come to their senses, and that policing is going to go back, because we need young, aggressive coppers, policemen, women, men, just to be out there to do the job in order for society to move on. I mean, and unfortunately, everyone's having a hard time with joining the police force. I would just say is keep an open mind. You can always try and you can always leave if you don't like it. But we need policemen, and the more good people that join, then we can make the difference. We can make the change.
Very good, Spiro. Thank you for taking the time to talk to our listeners, and thank you for your decades of service to the citizens of Chicago and now the citizens of Buffalo Grove, still being a service.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yep. The joke they have here for me, if you ever meet me, is I used to serve and protect, and now I just serve. And I enjoy it, and I love it. Have a good night. Thank you for having me.
And there you have it from Spiro Maglaras, owner and proprietor of Prairie House Tavern in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. You can enjoy a great meal there, so feel free to visit them and give them a try. Switching gears, I'm happy to announce a few things with Firearm Mentor. First of all, I am expanding my offerings to include keynote speaking. I am in a training program right now to establish a keynote speaking service. So I will be hopefully going to conferences and talking about the mental and physical reactions to life and death violence. And that's going to be a seminar that's going to be partially based on the book that I wrote, The Opposite of Safe, which is available at theoppositeofsafe.com. I have two books there. One is on handguns and safety for handguns, and the other is on how we react to life and death stress and incidents that really could take life or throw us in the hospital. So I'm hoping if you know people in various organizations, please reach out to me. I'd love to be introduced. My electronic business card is firearmmentorcard.com. And right now I am compiling a list of potential conferences and organizations where I could deliver a keynote. And those include organizations such as police chief organizations, the NRA, USCCA, and like I mentioned earlier in the show, I was at their conference this weekend, or last weekend, and I'd be happy to return as a keynote. ITOA, Illinois Tactical Officers Association, Firearm Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, SHOT Show. If you have any contacts in those types of firearm organizations or psychological organizations, law enforcement or fire, I would love to talk with you about the conferences that you have gone to and how you think that type of topic might benefit the attendees. With that said, a couple of events that are coming up in October and November. Our next concealed carry class will be October 21st to the 22nd in Long Grove, and then we'll shoot at a range in Mundelein. Later that week, on October 26th, I will be presenting a seminar called De-Escalation Strategies for Potentially Violent Patients. There is continuing education credit for people in social work and other professions. I'm happy to give you that information. If you're interested in signing up, I think the class is $10, and that's because they are providing food. So that'll pay for your food. I know last seminar I did, it was like pans of fried chicken, and it was very good. So if you're interested, reach out to me, Firearm Mentor Card, CARD.com, and I'm happy to put you in contact with the people who are running the event. I am one of the keynote speakers for it. It's going to be in the evening, and food will be provided. In November, I have another concealed carry class on the 18th and 19th, also in Long Grove, also shooting in Mundelein, and I would love to give you the links to register. Once again, Marcus Melnick at Firearm Mentor is my email address, that's .com, and I'd love to see you in class. We have some fun times in class. I use entertainment. You can hear my humor on the radio shows, and this will give you the driver's ed portion of getting your license. So I look at myself as a driver's ed instructor. You're going to come to me for driver's ed, and then you will go to the state to apply for your concealed carry license. December, we don't have any public-facing classes. However, on the weekends that I didn't mention, I am certainly available to teach private classes in people's homes where somebody will say, hey, I got 4 cousins and 6 friends, and we want to go have a class at our house. Can you please accommodate us? And then all we need to do is look at everyone's schedule and pick a date, and I will come to your house, bring everything, including the projector, PowerPoint, firearms, ammunition, whatever we need for the class. Nobody needs anything other than a positive mental attitude and the willingness to learn. I actually just got a compliment from a friend of mine, Chaim Edelstein, who was on the show previously, he and I went to high school together, and he's now wanting to learn about firearms. So I've been taking him. He actually took a concealed carry class in Wisconsin. I'm not certified to teach in Wisconsin. And was very complimentary of all of the things in the books that I've given him so that he could walk into class with some decent knowledge. So the other thing I wanted to mention, because he gave me a message, I didn't really talk to him, but he said that he applied for his concealed carry license, and it takes Wisconsin 21 days to respond. He thinks that he's going to get a response earlier. 21 days. That is phenomenal. I know in Illinois it is not 21 days. It's up to 120 days, and there have been times in the last several years where that is extended beyond that, but legally it should be 120 days. I hope you're enjoying my show. I will be back next week with Wayne Messmer, the national anthem guy, and we're going to talk about how he was shot in the throat, not only survived, but thrived. He has an awesome story, and I wish everyone a happy and successful week. Thank you. We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.